The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
The Lord is with you, mighty warrior.
Mighty warrior? Pardon me, my lord, but if the Lord was with us, then why has all this happened to us? Where are all the works and wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, "Do not the Lord bring us out of Egypt"? But now look, just look, the Lord has abandoned us and given us over into the hand of Gideon.
Go in the strength that you have, and save Israel out of the hand of Midian. Is it not I that is sending you?
Pardon me? But, my lord, how could I possibly ever be the one to save Israel? My clan? You don't know what my clan is? My clan is the weakest in the tribe of Manasseh. And me? Please, I'm the least in this family.
But I will be with you, and you will strike down the Midianites, leaving none alive.
If now I have found favor in your eyes, please give me a sign so that I can know that it's you who is really talking to me. Please do not go away until I come back and bring you my offering and set it before you.
I will wait until you return.
I need a goat. I need some flour. Okay, yeah. I wonder if that's really the Lord out there talking to me. Couldn't be. Mighty warrior me save all of Israel? Please. Anyway, let me just get this out and we'll see if the sacrifice is really legit.
Take the meat and the unleavened bread, place them on this rock, and pour out the broth.
Alas, sovereign God, I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face. Has God ever called you for a task that you felt that you were incapable of performing? Or have you ever asked God for a sign, and even though He sent you the exact sign that you asked for, you still weren't convinced about what God was asking you to do? This week we are focusing on Judges chapter 6. More specifically, we are discussing Gideon. Gideon, just like us, many times found himself not trusting the signs and messages he received from God. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Hopefully you guys had an amazing week. And yeah, we're back here again. My thought for this week is no matter what you're going through, always be a vessel for God, always be an agent for God. Sometimes God places people in our lives or across our paths, I should say. And their purpose or the whole purpose of this interaction might just be for us to, say a cheerful word, smile, and you just never know. Because sometimes it's be the strangest events. Like we had something similar happen this week, and we're like, it was completely random, but God definitely placed someone in our path for us to be a helping hand. And you never know what the Holy Spirit has in store for you or for the next person. So just always be open and willing for God to use you. So that's a quick thought. And yeah.
Amen. Amen to that. Not really. I could go into a story, but nah, not right now.
Fight the temptation.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, hopefully everyone has a good week. I guess other housekeeping items, please like, share, subscribe if you're on YouTube, if you're listening on a streaming platform. If I may just so happen to burden you to go to our YouTube page, subscribe and like the video. We're trying to grow our YouTube page, but the help of God on our Instagram. For those of you who are social media savvy, go and like our Instagram and follow us on Instagram at Abreathoffreshairpod. I know we say all these things at the end of the episode, but something like who stays for the credits? We understand. We don't hold it against you.
Yep.
And also, I know I'm saying a lot of things. Please forgive me. But so also it's like Spotify, if you're listening on Spotify, they also have this new feature where we can ask questions. So we're starting to slowly roll that out. You might have seen it in some of our past episodes, but if you haven't, this episode might have a question or a poll. We don't know what we're going to do yet, but look out for that and also engage that way. Yeah, I'm done.
I think that's a cool feature because one thing to note in the Christian journey is like so essential to ask questions and just to have, fruitful conversation, especially because all us have different minds, bro. You can read this and get something. I remember one time at work, we was reading something in Ecclesiastes and like this one thing, time and chance. It was the chapter on time and chance, and we all got different takeaways from that. That was so profound to me because I had a meaning that was relevant to what I was going through in life, but other people had different interpretations. I'm like, this seems so straightforward. You know what I'm saying? But, I don't feel like it was a right and wrong there, but it's just the power of the Holy Spirit, how they can inspire in different ways. And so, yeah, I feel like that's going to be a good tool and, good way for us to engage with our listeners and just learn and, like how they say iron sharpens iron.
Indeed. And just even going back over that point, it's like we all intake and process information through our own lens, and our lens is shaped by whatever we're going through, current circumstances, past experiences. And so you've got to also realize that too, like especially if you're reading the Bible, like certain things the Holy Spirit revealed to you because that's what you need at that moment. You know what I'm saying? And then like you read that same passage a year from now, you get something completely different from it because it's like, one, you're deeper in the word, you have a deeper understanding of how the word like connects together, and quite literally, you might be going through something else in your life and you like something else just comes to you. So you got a point?
Yeah, no, bro, crazy you said that. Me and my wife, still got to get used to saying that. But we was reading Genesis. Started with Laban. Beginning. Right. We was reading with Laban and Joshua. I remember how Joshua, why am I saying Joshua? Jacob. Jacob. How Jacob, he had to deal with Laban with the sheep, etc. Spotted was for him. Clean with the clean. Spotless was for Laban. When I read the chapter of that agreement, I'm like, Jacob is deceiving him. Wow, that's crazy. The following chapter, Jacob was like, God told me that this was gonna happen. The whole time, the first time he went through it, I thought he was lying. But like reading it now, I am of the belief that the Lord told him that. You understand what I'm saying? And so no matter what he had done, that was what it was going to be. So I was thinking Jacob was there like scientifically making this to be spotted and not, but if the Lord already proved that, bro, it don't even matter what's going to happen, so it should just go to show, bro, like how the Holy Spirit can open your mind at different times in different ways. The same chapter of the Bible, So.
All right. So now transitioning to Gideon.
Yeah.
And so as a recap, last week we covered the judge of Deborah, who was also a prophet. And we see something she prophesied came through. She had her own musical afterwards describing everything and recalling everything in great detail. And before that, we had Ehud, and Shamgar and Othniel, but Ehud was the main star of the story, and how he killed the king, the fat king, and the dagger disappeared. And so now we're continuing Judges, picking up in Judges 6. We're going to explore the life of another judge called Gideon. And it's going to be an interesting story. He's going to remind us of some of our past biblical figures and sons, and just going to bring back some things. And then also, as we go through this, I want people to see like, how are we Gideon? Because even as I was reading this, it was kind of crazy too, because I was like, even though sometimes like I know God is doing something, it's like how much times we find ourselves asking for sign after sign after sign after sign. And God in his gracious mercy, gives us sign after sign after sign. And sometimes he just be like, you already know the answer. Like I read one thing one time saying like, God already told you the answer. You're too stubborn to accept it. But yeah, as we go through, we're going to explore the life of Gideon. Again, look out for that poll question or just that question, and we're going to engage. And also feel free to comment in the comments below if you're on YouTube. And let's get this dialogue going, because I feel like we need to normalize the conversations of talking about God more, especially in the trajectory the world is going. Like, we just need to normalize these conversations and not be ashamed to talk about the Bible. Because we're not ashamed to talk about everything else. Like, exactly. Like everything else, we're so cool and comfortable talking about it. But when it comes to God, we start to freeze up and get all like cold feet and cold hands and clammy. So let's normalize it. At the end of the day, this is one of the most important things to be talking about, because your salvation is at stake.
Especially now when we actually do have the freedom, of to speak on these things.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there will not always be a time. There will be a time when you don't have this freedom and this liberty. You know what I'm saying? So definitely get that out the way more than ever now when you have the time.
Mm-hmm. And it's so crazy because I know we ain't even started yet, but like other countries don't even have the same luxuries as we have. And looking at our listener pool, we have people listening from other parts of the world too. And I'm like, yo, it's actually illegal to be even talking about Christianity in some other countries. So let that sink in for other listeners. Like, it's illegal to talk about Christianity in other countries.
And I don't remember if we mentioned this on mic, but after we spoke about it for sure. One of our guests in our earlier podcast, and I think it was Exodus, the first chapter in Exodus. The gentleman Peter with Bethany Kids, he mentioned, doing missionary work in these countries and having to be under certain stipulations and stuff. And that was just mind-boggling to me to have spoken to someone who actually went through that thing, went through that experience.
So yeah, don't take it for granted. Let's normalize it, and let's all encourage and help each other go through this journey. So in Judges 6 verse 1, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord for 7 years. He gave them into the hands of the Midianites. So again, we see Israel is in this pattern of, we're going to listen. We're going to get comfortable. We're going to fall back in our ways. God rises up a judge. We're saved. We're going to listen. We get comfortable. We fall back in our ways. We worship the fallen, we worship the fake gods, and we get oppressed. So we see them back in this cycle again.
Yep.
But now we see, because the power of Midian was so oppressive, so now we're also seeing that each time it gets progressively worse. So each time, at least from what I'm seeing, each time the oppression is getting a little bit more oppressive.
Yep.
So I'm gonna just get into it. I'm probably gonna say some of the commentary for later. So because Midian was so oppressive, the Israelites prepared shelters for themselves in the mountain clefts, caves, and strongholds. I know it's gonna save the comments, right? But think about this, bro. Like, your oppressors oppressing you so much, you even leaving the towns. Like, let this sink in. Because remember, when they moved into Canaan, the land was theirs for the taking, and they actually run people out of their towns. So not everybody, because they were supposed to. They left some, and that's how they find themselves in this predicament now. But they actually had homes and stuff to live in.
Yep.
You under so much oppression, you saying, forget this. Let me go to the mountains and live in a cave on a cleft of a rock. And, we're going to try to fortify ourselves in the mountains because, I can't stay in the city. That's just crazy.
Yeah, so,
go for it. Yeah.
And like you say, every time it's getting progressively worse for them. The time before, Judges 4, verse 3, because he had 900 chariots fitted with iron, and I cruelly oppressed the Israelites for 20 years. They cried to the Lord for help. They was talking about the king before then.
Mm-hmm.
This time, when they described these kings, it wasn't no 900 chariots. You understand what I'm saying? Now, even the oppressors are multiplying. It's becoming more and more people oppressing them,
Yeah. It's interesting. They're turning into cave dwellers instead of civilized people. So, verse 4, they camped on the land and ruined the crops all the way to Gaza and did not spare a living thing for Israel, neither sheep. Oh no, hold on. So whenever they planted, we're going back to verse 3, my bad. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern peoples invaded the country. They camped on the land and ruined the crops all the way to Gaza and did not spare a living thing for Israel, neither sheep nor cattle nor donkeys. They came up with their livestock and their tents like swarm of locusts. It was impossible to count them and their camels, and they invaded the land to ravish it. Midian so impoverished the Israelites that they cried out to the Lord for help.
Okay. Bro.
Go for it.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 51. This is the curses that will come upon the Israelites. So this is not anything new. This is not anything surprising to us as analysts. Far removed from the situation, we could say this. Don't know if they even realized this was happening. All prophesied. Verse 51. They will devour the young of your livestock and the crops of your land until you are destroyed. They will leave you no grain, new wine, or olive oil, nor any calves of your herds or lambs of your flocks until you are ruined. They will lay siege to all the cities throughout your land until the high fortified walls in which you trust fall down. They will besiege all the cities throughout the land the Lord your God is giving you. Pretty specific. You understand? It's like, this is something you don't even have to guess. Oh, I wonder if this is what's happening. No, it's literally happening. These people, this is the cruelest of cruel. We haven't even seen this in the Bible thus far, where these people terrorizing you. They don't kill you, but they leave you to suffer. They cut off all of your eating supplies, your food. They cut off everything, your livestock. What you expect? What you expect to happen? They want all y'all to starve to death.
And I mean, this just remind me of, isn't Isaiah somewhere in the 50s? I should look for it right now. Just anyway, in Isaiah 55, I'll probably put something on screen. I got to write this down to remember this. But it really say God's word doesn't return to you void. I think he said his word does not return empty, and everything that he says will be achieved. But that goes for the good and the bad. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people say that just quoting the good. But if God says like something is going to happen, if you don't do this, guess what? It's going to happen. Exactly. So just like how that's what we see, like, hey, if you guys don't, like Moses said, if you guys don't follow God, here is what's going to happen to you. And as we see, they are not following God, and God's word, just in the good, happens with the bad, does not return empty. You guys are not listening. This is what happened.
Yep, Isaiah 55:11.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Got each other back. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly.
But yeah. So God's word doesn't return to you void. So now we're seeing the Israelites after these years. And then again, it goes back to not telling your children or your descendants, whichever word you want to use in this essence, the works and wonders of God, and not reciting to them these things that happens. I mean, because and now I'm looking at even the current generations, because guess what? The generation, 40 years ago, guess what? You guys went through this with the other judge. Yep. So how come again, you guys didn't say, guess what? Okay, we worship Baal. We got oppressed. It was cruel. God rose up a judge. We were living good. Now, Sonny, I need you to follow God because we don't want this to happen again. But yet again, we see the Israelites going through this cycle.
No, I mean, bro, right now, we have a lot of people that's like talking about the book of Revelations and end time prophecy and stuff. The jury is still out about some of these things, not for me, but for the world, based on what you accept as to be the mark of the beast and end time prophecy and stuff like that.
Man, I want to do an episode that's so bad, but it's like jumping the gun. But we don't have to jump the gun.
Yeah, for real, because it's happening now. Like it's everything for now. You know what I'm saying? And the book of Revelation is written. It was written at a time that was so far removed, and it was talking about stuff that some of the words for these things just didn't exist at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like the circumstances are so different. It was in a different language, translated X, Y, Z. And it's like, it's hard for it to be 100% specific. No matter what it'll be, it'll be cryptic in some type of way, right? Bro, when the Mosaic laws were written, bro, you're not far removed from that. Like, you're fully able to understand that in context. You know what I'm saying? Like, generation after generation after generation, you read. It's like when we in school and we reading social studies and history and stuff like that. If we reading about stuff in the 20th century, bro, it's not that hard for us to comprehend what's going on. And if we don't understand, we could ask our parents, oh, yeah, that's how it used to be. Yeah, before this and that and the third. You know, we used to have, like, that's like trying to explain to people how it used to be in the airport before 9/11. Like, oh, you could walk all the way up to the gate and don't get on the plane.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, it's just a simple question. You can get the context. They have the prophecy of what will happen if you disobey God, plain as day, already written. I want to make the comparison. Now we have end time prophecy, what will happen as well. We know for a fact you will not be able to buy or sell, mark of the beast. You understand? We know these things. Now, what these things are, that's where people debate. You understand? But then a lot of things people confuse, but we ain't got to get into that conversation. But they had all of this in writing. This wasn't up for debate. In my opinion, I don't think it was up for debate. Just being able to read it, and it says, hey, if you turn away from God, he will not. Because here's the thing. This the way I internalize this, bro. God is the source of our strength, our prosperity. God is the source of all things good in our life, right? If I turn around and say, no, God, chill out, I worship in Baal. And God say, okay, are you sure? And I say, yes, I am taking the time out to build this statue, buy this statue, worship this statue. And God say, okay, I am going to allow Baal the full authority to protect you, to provide for you in the way that I was doing so. And God does that. He gives Baal all of this, everything. And Baal, which is an inanimate object, does nothing. And now bad stuff happened to you. Literally, this is how I feel. This is how I feel God is taking this. But it's also a sign to show you that this is the only output of taking God's authority away from him, essentially.
And it, like, going on that, it's going to be a slight tangent, right? But this, like, what people got to realize, right? Everything that happens to us in our lives, outside of God's blessings, yes, but as a result of our actions. You know what I'm saying? You did this as a result. Naturally, this X, Y, and Z will happen. You know what I'm saying? Just like Israelites, you chose not to follow God. And as a natural progression of not following God, God removes his grace and protection from you, like you just said and articulated very well. And guess what? The curses will befall you as a natural progression. But likewise, if you are chosen to follow God, all the blessings and the prosperity and the wealth and the good things would have also happened to you. But like, a lot of people go to like just blaming God, but like at the same time, you got to look at like, bro, what have you done? And I'm not saying that, you know, it's a slippery slope when you get into the argument, but at the same time, it's like, yo, God shows you what you could do to have a good life. You know what I'm saying? Like, specifically in this case, the Israelites were given the example: follow God, worship him, keep his commandments. Each time, generation after generation. I mean, at this point, especially in Canaan, like y'all just stumbling at this point, because even like we're gonna see again, like as we keep on going, like even Gideon, like he knew some of the stuff, but he still didn't know who God was, and that's the next thing. You're like, y'all just talking about God like he's like y'all talking about God like he's Baal, like a myth, a legend. Yep. Like, does he really exist? You know what I'm saying? Like, we heard about what he did, but can he do it for us now?
But it's like, y'all know that y'all do not want to feel the way y'all feel. Y'all don't want to be oppressed, you know? And so what happens to stop them from being oppressed? They cry out to God.
Exactly.
So, someone know but God. You feel me? Someone know but God. A group of people know but God. It might not be the majority, but y'all definitely know but God. And y'all have access to God and to the ways of God. Y'all have access to the writings, the literature, whatever you want to call it. And it's all documented there. If you follow stray gods, God is going to abandon you. And this is what's going to happen. You're going to bring a curse on your life. To me, it don't even have to be, you don't even have to look at it. You can look at it this way, but you don't have to look at it as God cursing you. Bro, who's protecting you? If Baal is protecting you and Baal allowing the other people who's worship Baal to ramsack you, you got to change up the plan, bro. If this the one thing that's stopping you from being protected. You know, but and again, I ain't trying to be insensitive, because at the end of the day, bro, if the Bible was written today, like I always just think about that. If the Bible was written today, God would be talking about how the people of God turn away from God. You know, they go they go to mediums, they practice divination. You know, they want to do astrology, and they want to study all type of different spirits and stuff like that, right? And we'd be reading this. Me living in today's day, to be like, "Boy, what's going on with the earth today? Why are they doing all type of crazy stuff?" But when you think about it, oh yeah, that literally is happening. You know what I mean? That really is happening. So yeah, I ain't trying to just beat down on the Israelites like, oh, y'all ain't listening. But truthfully, it's an input and output, bro. This is black and white because it was prophesied. This ain't even Nakhaz's opinion. God say, don't do this. And if you don't do this, blessings will come. If you do this, curses will come. And we can see curse after curse after curse coming. Every chapter is a different type of curse the Canaanites are bestowing upon them.
So now picking up from verse 7, when the Israelites cried out to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet, which is interesting because this prophet doesn't have a name. So not all prophets in the Bible are named, but this one served his purpose to go say God's message to the people of Israel. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. And tell me if this sounds familiar. I brought you up out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. I rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians, and I delivered you from the hand of your oppressors. I drove them out before you and gave you their land. I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not worship the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you live. But you have not listened to me. Simple. He's like, bro, I've said this many times now. Many times.
And obviously I have to continue to say it. That way you don't confuse me with any other gods, because there's plenty gods floating around. You understand? Y'all might be trying to give Ashtaroth, or however you pronounce it, the credit for what I do in Egypt. Y'all might be trying to give that calf the credit, but literally I keep the same format every time. I remind you. Because essentially this kind of way their walk with Christ is dated back to before 400. They might not be able to date their history to pre-slavery, pre-Egypt time, but post-Egypt they definitely can date their history back to that. And he's saying, yo, I am the God from that time, and I trying to reconnect, you know, like not to be confused with any other God. Let's just make that. And I feel like, I mean, it sucks that, you know, that God always have to take that route. But if you leave it up to humans, they mind just get stray away all over the place, you know, believe all type of things, you know. And so he makes it very clear who he is. I'll say that.
And then even then what I get from it too is that, think about it. So the Israelites now, I just find some irony in this. So the Israelites now are crying out for help, because to them, you're crying out because you have a problem, right? So we all could agree Israel has a problem.
Yep.
But now in Israel eyes, their problem is the Midianites. But in God's message back to them, guess what? The Midianites ain't really the problem, you know.
Not at all.
It's y'all who's the problem.
Yep.
Which is so interesting, because it's like, okay, now they're crying out for help because the Midianites, but God's saying y'all crying out for help, but y'all really crying out for help for the wrong reason. Is y'all have the power to fix this, or y'all had the power to fix this, and the answer ain't changed. It's like y'all literally have the answer key. And I'm
completely missing it.
Exactly. It's like,
and let me remind you what the answer is.
He's saying, bro, like, I showing y'all, like, I love y'all, I did all these things for y'all, but y'all chose to not listen to me. The Midianites aren't the problem, is you guys. And so now in verse 11, the angel of the Lord, so we see this terminology again, came down and sat under the oak at Ophrah that belonged to Joash, the Abizrite. Is that how you would pronounce that?
Sure. Yeah. Every time I read it, I just be like, I don't know what I would do. Like,
Abizrite. Anyway, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a wine press to keep it from the Midianites. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior."
That's what they had to do in order so that they could preserve food.
The threshing?
Like you threshing wheat in a wine press. You know what I mean? Like you have to take different measures just to hide it. But the angel of the Lord, man, we see him pulling up on Gideon in a similar not in a similar fashion, but we've seen the angel of the Lord a few times. We've seen him with Moses for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's probably the most iconic time I can remember. And when he came to Moses, he didn't say I was the God that brought you out of Egypt, because that didn't occur yet. But he said I was the God of your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he always qualifies himself just to let you know, I'm a credible source you're talking to. Let's just cut all the chit chat and just let you know exactly you talking to an authoritative figure for sure. And that you could understand why he prefaced with his message this time from the prophet that he was the God that brought you out of Egypt.
Mm-hmm. And
so
go for it.
No, I was just gonna continue, but you got it.
Yeah, so Gideon replied, "Pardon me, my Lord." So the angel of the Lord appears. Gideon said, "Pardon me, my Lord. But if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, 'Did not the Lord bring us out of Egypt?' But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian." And so to me, it goes back to like the point I made earlier. They know they have a problem, but they misidentifying the source of the problem again. Because you see him, he's just saying, "Oh, okay, God is the problem, and like Midian is the problem, and God letting Midian happen to us." Which, you know what I'm saying? And they saying, but like, first of all, and you saying the Lord is with us, but how could the Lord possibly be with us? And what happened to all this stuff I hear about? But the funny thing about it is how he has it right, but the context in which he's talking about it is the wrong context.
Yeah.
Because everything he's saying is right. Yeah, guess what? The Lord has abandoned you guys, but in reality, it's you guys who've abandoned God. So even if his context is still wrong, the God ain't abandoned you guys purposely chose to leave God. And as a result, now the Midianites are I see you want to say something.
No. Finish your sentence. You say now the Midianites.
Now the Midianites have oppressed y'all. Now the Midianites have control over y'all because you guys purposely chose to do this.
And he just completely missing that the Lord is just trying to tell you that from this point forward, the Lord is with you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, because I think Gideon interpreting and saying, "Hold on, bro. You couldn't have been with us this whole time." You know what I mean? Like, that's like me and you, right? Like, let's say we need to call the police or something like, or we being attacked this whole time, right? We know a simple call of the police would help us, right? And we running all night, we getting chased. And then at the end of the night, you pull out your cell phone just to call your girl or something. I'd be like, "Bro, hold on, bro. You had a cell phone this whole time?" You know what I mean? While we was running, while we was doing all type of stuff we didn't have to go through. You know what I mean? Because that's the energy what I get from Gideon. Of course, I could just be reading it wrong and just adding the theatrics in my own mind. But I think he completely misunderstanding that God is trying to tell you, from this point on, I am with you. Because instantly he go back to the past. He go to the past. Well, past and the present in a sense, because they were still, oppressing him. But he's like, "Bro, where you been? Where you been?" And it's funny because the Lord come to him like flattering him. The Lord is with you, mighty warrior. You understand? So like I come in now. They say the Bible say in I think Psalms or Proverbs, a soft answer turns away wrath. You know what I mean? I come to you with soft words, like flattering words, essentially. But Gideon was like, I can't. Like this sound like a hoax to Gideon. Like this don't even sound right to him.
We see, so the Lord, so now we see, and again, so now we qualifying who this angel of the Lord was. So now we're saying just the Lord turned to him and said, "Go in strength. Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hands. Am I not sending you?" So he's like, back to your point. God said, "Yeah, from this point on, like, I'm with you. Go."
Yeah.
Gideon now. Go for it.
No, yeah, and I just was gonna reinforce that because God saying, "Yo, go," because Gideon saying, bro, Gideon is talking as if he don't know this person. Like, I'm not saying that he do, but that's what I'm getting from him. He say, the God I hear about, he was doing all type of stuff for the ancestors, but he ain't doing that for us. And God saying, "All right, go and do it. I sending you for sure. Like this could happen, but based on the text, you can kind of see that Gideon needed a little more verification, just to make sure.
So now we see the Lord said, then Gideon said, verse 15 of Judges 6, "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family." And so now I'm like, where's your self-esteem, buddy? Where's your self-esteem? Like, who told you was the least? I mean, at some point, people say you got to be real with yourself, right? But this sounds like you didn't give up on life, man.
What Balaam say? God is not a man that he should lie.
God is not a man that he should lie.
And God say, mighty warrior. But I think Gideon has a reputation for not being seen as a mighty warrior. Gideon come from a small clan, that ain't as rough as the other clans. And despite that, he seems to be the wimpiest out of everyone in the clan. Or the least able. He's the least is what he called himself. So to me, I take that as, bro, I am the least likely person in any of the surrounding clans to do this job that you're asking me to do.
And then the Lord said, verse 16, "I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive." So now Gideon said, if now I have found favor in your eyes, give me a sign that it's really you talking to me. Please do not go away until I come back and bring my offering and set it before you. The Lord said, "I will wait until you return." So when he said, if I have found favor in your eyes, that just reminded me of Moses.
Yeah. I mean, Abraham too. When he was talking about, Sodom and Gomorrah.
A lot, yeah.
At least they coming correct.
But so now we see Gideon went inside, prepared a young goat from an ephah. And just as a reminder, ephah is about 36 pounds or 16 kilograms, according to the footnote in the Bible. Of flour, but that's a lot of flour. Oh, from an ephah of flour, and made a bread without yeast. Okay.
I was about to say, bro, 36 pounds of flour.
And this man make a whole wedding cake.
But and I would say that take a lot too, because they in a food crisis right now. You know what I mean? So,
but only the best for the Lord, man.
For sure.
So then, he had a young goat, and from an ephah of flour, he made some bread without yeast, putting the meat in a basket and its broth in a pot. He brought them out and offered them under the oak tree. The angel of God said to him, "Take the meat and the unleavened bread, place them on this rock, and pour the broth." And Gideon did so. Then the angel of the Lord touched the meat and the unleavened bread with the tip of the staff that was in his hand. Fire flared from the rock, consuming the meat and the bread, and the angel of the Lord disappeared. When Gideon realized that it was the angel of the Lord, he exclaimed, "Alas, sovereign Lord, I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face."
But the Lord said to him, "Peace, do not be afraid. You are not going to die."
So what get me too, why I paused? I was like, hold on. So was that to me, did you just realize it was really God, or you were celebrating the confirmation that it was really God?
Boy, I know. I know. I think that's because here's the thing. I feel like he was talking to somebody that was greater than a human. You know what I'm saying? He don't know God. I don't know God, but I do know that the God of my ancestors, it's a supernatural God. This ain't like the Baals, who you just have to believe in the folklore. This person, he can control nature. And so when he see it happen, that was like, oh, snap. I just see God for real. You know what I mean? Like that. So I would say confirmation, because obviously, he was talking with reverence as if he was talking to God, but that really do it for him.
Bro. And they noticed a tangent, right? But I was just thinking in my head while he was talking, right? This was the progression of thoughts in my head. I was like, dang, that would really convince me too. But then you know what? Then you know what popped up in my head? When the
Yeah, the
Antichrist will even call down fire from heaven, and even the very elect may be deceived.
If possible, yeah.
If possible, may be deceived. And I was like, then in my head, I was like, bro, that's all it could take for you?
Bro, let me tell you, that's why when I go on my stint a couple months back, when I was really, really trying to study anti-prophecy, I was so taken aback, because I'm like, bro, no lie, bro. If the very elect don't really stand a chance, if possible, bro.
If possible.
But if you ain't studying, the
very elect.
No, that's what I'm saying. How could you be elect if you ain't studying? You're gone. You understand what I'm saying? Like, to be real, because when I was young, bro, I used to think that I was smarter than the devil. Mm-hmm. The devil can't do nothing to me. And I remember I had a friend who would tell me something like that too, like while we was kids in like elementary school, like, and it's like, bro, like I'd never go to hell, bro, like X, Y, and Z, like, like the devil can't get me, X, Y, Z. But that was before we understand how intelligent this person is. Mm-hmm. Well, this is not a human. That's just on the strength that he's above a human. Mm-hmm. Like, you should know you ain't no match for him. Even the most intelligent human, bro. It's only true God, bro. You understand what I'm saying? It's only true God. And then guess what, bro? Like, seeing is believing. If you ain't reading the Bible, to understand that Jesus ain't coming back on earth, but he can meet us in the air, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. If you don't know these facts, and you, Earl, I ain't gonna lie, bro. If you do not know these facts, and you are suffering from a terminal illness or an injury or something, and somebody heals you, bro, what in your heart will tell you that's not God? Think about that, bro.
The math, like, going back to the fire thing, bro. If you ain't studying and someone calls down fire from heaven, instantly you're like, bro, this guy is greater than me.
Yeah, because the Bible say he can come performing signs and wonders, even casting down fire from heaven.
Exactly.
I'm like, bro, if you see miracles happening, bro, and I ain't even saying seeing, I saying experience, bro. If you blind and somebody give you your eyesight, to me, that'll be enough for me to say, I ain't gonna lie, bro. This God, bro, this only true God. Because then you could attribute it to something good. You understand what I'm saying? Like the fire, bro. Someone might even say, man, that had to been some type of plane or something from the, you know what I mean? Some people can try to rationalize that, but if you have a supernatural experience, that's a tough one. And the devil, he already think about all type of things. You know what I mean?
This man had couple thousand years to figure this out.
In short, bro, the only way we can combat against the devil is to
keep
God.
Studying and keep
understand? So study the word of God just to understand, and all the clues that the Lord has left us with, we need to familiarize ourselves with.
Most definitely. Back from our commercial break.
Right, but now the fortunate thing for Gideon, the Messiah had not come yet the first time. You know what I mean? And so this casting down fire from heaven, this was a sign of how God accepted offerings in the past, and so this was very reminiscent, and so this definitely was a good confirmation for Gideon. So now he on board. Now he like, all right, let's get it rolling, because I know who I talking to for real. You confirm that at least up until this point he confirmed it for Gideon.
Exactly. So he did it for Gideon in this, and so far, right? And so now picking up in verse 24. So Gideon built an altar to the Lord there and called it "The Lord is Peace." To this day, it stands an offerer of the Israelites. The same night, the Lord said to him, Take the second bull from your father's herd, the one 7 years old, tear down your father's altar to Baal, and cut down the Asherah pole beside it. Then build a proper kind of altar to the Lord your God on top of its height, on this height. Using the wood from the Asherah pole that you cut down, offer the second bull as a burnt offering. So Gideon took 10 of his servants and did as the Lord told him. Because he was afraid of his family, the townspeople, he did it at night rather than in the daytime. Boy, oh boy.
That must have been nerve-wracking for poor Gideon. You know how much them idols mean to everybody? And it's his daddy idol. God telling him to break down. And then not only you breaking it down, you putting the altar of God. That's a statement. That's a statement being made,
Man, you're showing who reigns supreme. You're showing who reigns supreme. Okay, so in the morning, verse 28, in the morning when the people of the town got up, there was Baal's altar demolished with the Asherah pole beside it cut down and the second bull sacrificed on a newly built altar. They asked each other, who did this? When they carefully investigated, they were told Gideon, son of Joash, did it.
Someone snitched on him.
Boy,
probably one of them servants.
Who else? Think about the man doing it at night. Who else knew he did it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the town people demanded Joash, bring out your son. He must die because he has broken down Baal's altar and cut down the Asherah pole beside it. But I'm just stick a pin right here, right? Think about it. These people were Israelites.
Yes.
This is his farm. This is his extended family.
From the tribe of Manasseh.
Exactly. And so these people are getting mad. Who should know God? Who should know of God?
They getting so mad to the point where they trying to get a man to give over his own son to be put to death.
For building an altar to the one true God and tearing down their fake gods.
For disrespecting the fake God for the Most High God.
Mm-hmm. I just want to put that in context because I mean, like, we just reading through it and like I just want to like let people understand like this is to the point that Israel had fallen, gotten to whichever word you want to use there. But this was the state of Israel.
Yeah, they was brazen. They was brazen with their idolatry. Exactly. They was trying to kill somebody for disrespecting their new God, which might have been their only God they know. Who knows? But that's how. But bro, they trying to kill for Baal, for Asherah.
Yes, both.
Yeah,
they try to kill for both. And so Joash replied to the hostile crowd around him, "Are you going to plead Baal's cause? Are you trying to save him?"
See, it stopped being a game for Joash. Because remember, that was Joash idols would get. See, all them other people, they still have their idols, you know. They mad because of Joash idols would get broken. They trying to kill Gideon. I almost call him Gilead. They trying to kill Gideon for someone else's idols who he broke. They ain't even theirs. That's like me trying to kill. That's like me trying to kill someone over scratching your car, Earl. This is your car, you know. But I so mad, I ready to kill someone for that, bro. It ain't my car. Nah, it was my boy. You know what I mean? But true, that ain't really my battle, really. You know what I mean? Y'all insurance gotta talk that out. You understand? Like I could be upset. You feel me? But and that ain't even a good comparison because truly, what Gideon do was the will of God and was the right thing to do at the end of the day. But Joash stop being a game for him though. He like, hold on, no. Stop now. Because now it's his son. It's his son in jeopardy.
Exactly.
I don't know if Joash would have had the same, response if it's someone else. Who knows? We don't know much about Joash. But he's saying, hold on, bro. So y'all trying to fight on behalf of Baal?
And he says,
this is the God, right?
Exactly. It's essentially what he said. Like, whoever fights for Baal shall be put to death by morning.
Yeah, because he know who we up against. He know it ain't Gideon. You know, he know what happen when you fight against the Most High God. You know? Yeah, and because it really stopped being a game for him, and it just show how people like that was just complicit, I'm sorry, in idolatry and separating people from God. You know within your heart of hearts how powerful the Most High God is. You understand that, but you choose to follow idolatry and the Canaanite religions. Yeah.
Like, so verse 30, I'm gonna finish verse 31. If Baal is really a god, he can defend himself when someone breaks down his altar. So because Gideon broke down Baal's altar, they gave him the name Jerub-Baal, that day, saying, let Baal contend with him.
Let Baal deal with him.
And like Joash's argument was pretty logical. Like, just to go back to it, guess what? Like, if y'all say Baal is a god, he should be able to defend himself.
Yep.
He don't need y'all to defend. He don't need y'all to defend him.
Yeah, and where y'all getting that from? Because we know it is written. I don't know if it was written or not, but we know for a fact it is written in the Mosaic laws what to do when you get in the Canaanite land. You know, Joshua tell them, yo, you come through, we tearing down everything, we killing all of these idols, we breaking all of them stuff. But where y'all get to kill somebody for destroying, you know what I'm saying?
Altar.
Like I remember when when now this ain't an altar, of course, but when Isaac, he was taking all them wells in the Canaanite land, and they keep filling it with earth. You know, to me, that was very frustrating, but Isaac didn't choose to kill nobody for that. You understand what I'm saying? When the king of the land, when he realized, all right, we can't be messing with the Most High God with Isaac, let's make a treaty. And Isaac made a treaty. If that Isaac, I don't know, I would have to swallow my pride to make that treaty, because I'd have been like, bro, you fill up all of my wells with earth, bro. You all better unfill them if you want to talk about treaty. You know what I mean? But people were very zealous. Like, and I mean to go on another tangent, but
no, go for it.
You remember when? Oh, and then the numbers after Balaam, you know, when all of the Israelites, they were prostituting themselves in front of the idols of the land, and they you know, Moses and everyone, they had an assembly to like try to correct things. And at the time, you know, one of the leaders of the tribes, as well as the daughter of one of the kings, was, you know, they was about to do their thing, you know, and I can't remember who it was. It was somebody's son. Had to put a spare between or two of them at the same time.
It was Aaron's son,
right? And God championed him because he was zealous for his will. You know what I'm saying? As God would have been. That's how these people are for Baal. That's the sick part about this. They ready to kill for Baal, bro. That's crazy.
So in verse 33, now all the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern people joined forces and crossed over the Jordan and camped in the valley of Jezreel. Then the Spirit of the Lord came on Gideon. He blew a trumpet, summoning the Abreathoffreshairpodcast to follow him, so his fellow clansmen. He sent the messengers throughout Manasseh, calling them to arms, and also into Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, so that they too went out to meet him. Gideon said to God, "If you will save Israel by my hand, as you have promised, look, I will place a wool fleece on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you have said." So specific.
Very specific.
And that's what happened, right? So Gideon rose early the next day. He squeezed the fleece and wrung out the dew, a bowl full of water. So now he asked God to show him something very specific and supernatural.
And it just so happens.
And it happened.
Yep.
Right? Well, wait, there's more. Then Gideon said to God, "Do not be angry with me. Let me just make one more request. Allow me one more test with the fleece, but this time make the fleece dry and the ground covered with dew." That night, God did so. Only the fleece was dry and the ground was covered with dew. So that was the two tests. But my thing is, like, you said, God, the first time, God, I'm going to go if you show me this sign. Next morning, no, God, sorry, I changed my mind. Don't be angry with me. I need one more test to validate you really got me. Like, bro,
but even before that, he was like, God, don't move. When I come back with this offering, still be here. You know what I mean? And that way you could prove that it's really you. And the fire came down from heaven. So the Lord already proved that was him. You know what I'm saying? But he's still having doubts.
See, the fire coming down from heaven wouldn't get Gideon.
No. No, he's still skeptical.
Still skeptical.
He's still skeptical. And it's funny because I remember when God and the angel of the Lord, in fact, he had came to Moses and he was telling Moses that, you know, you're gonna set your people free from the hand of the Pharaoh and the Egyptians. And Moses keeps saying, "Oh, I mean, but God, you know, I can't really talk that good and XYZ." And God got upset with him. You know what I'm saying? God shut that down quick. You feel me? And then later on in the Bible, like I remember like Zachariah. I mean, different circumstances, of course, but when the angel, I think it might have been Gabriel, I'm not sure, but the angel came to Zachariah telling him he was going to bear a son in his old age. Just his wife was going to bear a son. And he questioned it. I think he might have even laughed. And it's like, all right, you ain't going to be able to talk until your baby born. Like certain times, you see, you questioning God or you question the validity of this and its immediate consequences. Like, bro, don't waste my time. I feel like I personally feel like it have to do with your faith, with your level of faith. We know for a fact this was a dark time for Israel where they really was in deep. They really had strayed away from God, and their knowledge of God was not public. It was not, I'd say, publicly known. Like it was not, the majority of people probably didn't know as much about God as they did with other idolatry and like other stuff. So here we see God trying to, it's like with the early Israelites when they came back from Egypt. God had a lot of patience with them. They grumble with this, he do it. They grumble with that, he do it. But then later on in the book of Numbers, we see where they do this and it's consequence. You know what I'm saying? They do that, it's consequences. So like we can see where God having patience with Gideon and the Israelites because he knows that how far removed they are from actually knowing God. You know, I feel like he understands. You know, I think, I don't want to speak for God, but I feel like he understands how much it takes for Gideon to actually be convinced, you know, because he lacked faith.
Yeah. So for me, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I want people to put themselves in Gideon's shoes, right? How many times have we asked God for a sign? And sometimes we've been strangely specific about our signs before too. I mean, we use Kazi's example. I think he might have said this on the podcast before, so forgive me if I say something I shouldn't say. I remember one time he said he was asking God for a sign to buy something. And you asked him if he would show you, I might be getting it wrong, but he was asking for a blue Cadillac.
Oh yeah, no. That's it was a blue Escalade. That's the exact example I was thinking about just now too.
A blue Escalade.
Yeah.
And God showed you it, right? Or something like that. And he was like, wow, really? But
it was storming, right? And I see an Escalade pull up right beside me. And I was like, I don't really know if that blue, you know, that might be a black Escalade. That's funny.
But going back to the point, so like in that case, I don't know if you asked for a different example, right? But I know for me, I'd be like, hey, God, if you really want me to do this, show me this.
Yeah.
I see it, right? I'm like, that's a coincidence, man. You know,
that's a coincidence. Because truth be told, I was praying to see if I should go ahead and buy the engagement ring, you know, to propose. You feel me? And I was like, God, I ain't gonna lie, man. I want to buy this before the Sabbath, you know, before the Sabbath come around. Just show me, man. You know what I mean? Escalade pull up right beside me. I was like, no, man, that might be black, but it was truly storming. I ain't gonna lie, it was storming, so it was really hard to tell, bro. But I had to catch myself after that, bro. I had to be like, all right, bro. You know, you playing with God, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
but my thing is, like, when we put ourselves in our shoes, when we put ourselves in Gideon's story, how much of us would have blatantly said no and asked God for a sign? Think about it. God is telling you, and I personally feel Gideon had some self-esteem issues, right? But even put yourselves there, because we all sometimes we think down of ourselves, right? He's saying my clan is the weakest clan, and that might be statistically proven because they've been in wars. So this clan, Abreathoffreshairpodcast, whatever. Forgive me for not saying it right. They might have documentally been, you guys, we cannot go to battle with y'all because y'all cannot fight. And of this bad fighting clan, he is probably the worst fighter of a bad fighting clan. So now, this is who God chose to rescue Israel from their oppression. This is the next judge. You know what I'm saying? So God's saying, guess what? I want you to go fight. So now we're seeing Gideon knowing all of these things I laid out just now. Granted, some of this is my head canon, some of this I'm inferring from the passage. But he said he's the least of the least, right? To him, why me? You know what I'm saying? So now he get up in the morning. Now this is the morning for action. God, I need this sign. Just like you saying, you was about to go. You was literally about to buy the ring. You know you won't marry her. You know you want to do this. But now you're saying, God, I just want one more sign. I know what I should know, but I want one more sign. God said, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to send the sign. He gets the sign. I've been in this predicament too. I've gotten the sign from God. God, I need a next sign.
Yeah, that can't be the sign, man.
You know what I'm saying? And this ain't me trying to save my country. Because I made God forgive me, but if God sends me a vision right now and saying, guess what? My nickname is C. So in my head, I call myself C. C, if you got to go save the Bahamas tonight, big man, I am asking God for 1,000,000 signs.
Oh,
What?
bro, I asking God so much questions. Like, hold on, let's just be very, break it down to me like a toddler right now, God. Like, me? You know what I mean?
But then again, this goes back to where's your faith? You know what I'm saying? And so like me, I ain't even proud to be saying I'm being asked God for this much science, but I'm like, if we like, it's easy to read and cast judgment. But when you insert yourself into that exact scenario, you're like, oh no, I probably would have been asking questions too. Because like I said, if God asked me to save the Bahamas, I don't know in what instance the Bahamas would need to be saved, but I don't know. One random nation rises up against us because I don't want to call no names.
Yeah, I gotta say, thank God you don't call no name, bro.
You know?
If they listening, they might not take that too well. Like
Exactly. One random nation saying, "No, be done with the Bahamas today," and God's like, "You got to save them." Me, Lord, I ain't never even fight in the military, Lord. Right? Me, you know what I'm saying? Right. I'm a lowly engineer. I could design something.
I can design what little to do for you.
Yeah, but you want me to lead the army?
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm like, when you like, we look at him and it's like, yo, this man really want a lot of science, but how much science would it take? How much science would God have to send you to convince you to do what God's asking you to do? Like, and I just want people to think about that. Like, how much science would it take you to get God to do what you know you need to do?
My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. This week, we see the Lord choose Gideon, the least likely candidate to lead a charge against the Midianites. But the one thing that Gideon didn't realize was that the Lord does not call the qualified, but He qualifies those who are called. For in our weaknesses, His power is made perfect. And to further reinforce this point, Gideon and his army, an army that to the human eye would appear vastly outnumbered, the Lord considered to be vastly overpopulated. But we'll talk about Gideon, the Midianites, and the 300 Israelite soldiers on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.